nice
Ready to
spot.
go?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to call to order the town board meeting at the Town of Lisbon Town Hall on Monday, September 23rd, 2019 at 6:32 p.m. Roll call, please.
Chairman Osterman.
Here.
Supervisors Gamino,
Here.
Plotecker,
Here.
and Beal.
Here.
Also present Gina Gresh, Town
Here.
Administrator, Dan Green, Town Clerk, Dan Lindstrom, Town Planner, Fire Chief Doug Brom, and I don't know if you want to make introductions now or after.
This is Fire Chief of Merton, Josh Burrell, and most of you know Captain Michelle Drager with the Lisbon Fire.
All right, thank you, Dan. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I'm feeling left out now.
All right. We're going to move up item 4, the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered in one motion unless a town board member requests an item be removed from the consent agenda. Tonight we got the September 9th, 2019 town board minutes, operators licenses, resolution 15-19, a resolution accepting public improvements of River Glen subdivision and beginning 1-year warranty period, River Glen surety bond reduction, Chapter 12 Land Division and Development Ordinance Waiver Request for Newman Development, Inc. for Hillside Ridge and the Preserve at Hillside Ridge for cul-de-sac lengths, lot slopes, perpendicular lot lines, and road tangent lengths as described in the Administrator's memo. Chapter 12 Land Division and Development Ordinance Waiver Request for the Town of Lisbon for waivers from Chapter 12, Section 703, Parent A, Street and Pedestrian Way Design Standards, cul-de-sacs or dead-end streets. And Chapter 12, Section 2.05, waivers to allow a cul-de-sac 625 feet beyond the 500 feet allowed per the town code for the Town of Lisbon owned Leeds property. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Would anyone like anything removed from the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Motion made and seconded, made by Becky, seconded by Linda. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thanks.
All right. That'll take us to the special order of business presentation by the Town of Lisbon and Village of Merton Fire Chiefs proposing merger, creating the Bark River Fire Department. You guys are gonna need a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
That's my reach over.
You can take mine.
There, on.
This, I don't know if I gave, did you want a copy of all this? Sorry. So thank you for having us on the agenda tonight. We gave a packet of several different papers and some data that we'd like to share with you tonight. Mostly we want to bring you up to speed, up to what's been going on. I mean, everybody in the board knows that the Bark River has, that we've been talking with several of our neighboring communities to form a Bark River district, fire district. The history of Bark River, just to kind of recap how this all started back probably almost 12 years ago. It was an intermunicipal agreement between Heartland and Lisbon to form a Bark River Training Consortium. And with that, we were able to have joint training with personnel, hire joint personnel, and have a joint training program, get SOGs together, and start moving together as one fire department. And along the way, Merton also came along. Obviously, the board is familiar with how we have done that in past budgets with sharing personnel. Through the years, we've gotten a lot closer. We've put a lot of our same people on, credentialed them on our EMS licenses back and forth. We've been responding back and forth. We've been trading trucks. Our tender is over in Heartland. The latter, you know, they sold 2/3 of it, 1/3 to Merton, 1/3 to us this last year. There are a lot of significant things that we do with protocols and SOGs that are very common now across the fire departments. So earlier this year, or maybe towards the last
Just,
year,
yep.
we formed a committee, especially after the Waukesha County did a feasibility study, and they recommended that these clustering fire departments around the county would be an answer to the largest problem that we're all facing is trying to keep volunteers, paid on call type of labor. And so we've been echoing that problem that we've been experiencing for years about having paid staff, call volume going up, unable to really meet the 5-6 minute or less response times with the quality of service that I think everybody in this area has come to want and expect. So we did have a committee together, and we've been meeting. We met maybe 5 or 6 times with Heartland, the Merton Community Fire Department, which is a private fire company, and the Stone Bank Private Fire Company, which both of them cover town of Merton, and of course the village of Merton and the Lisbon Fire Department. Through these talks, we come up with an awful lot of discussion and ways of trying to figure out how to create a fire district. We copied a lot of it from existing fire districts in the state of Wisconsin, started out with their intermunicipal agreements, rewrote them, kind of tried to massage a lot of the formulas that are being used by other communities to try to fit ours. And I think we're close to a point where we have a good scheme that we can start getting some, bringing the boards in to make sure that we're going in the right direction and start getting some like legal permissions and things to go further. In your thing there, I have just the cover sheet, kind of just describes what I said about the history of the fire departments and how we've been getting along, and the county feasibility study. In there, I just kind of put our budgets together. Now, through these committee meetings, it's come down to where it's just the village of Merton and the town of Lisbon that are left on the table here forming the Park River Fire District. The other communities are very interested, but they probably will not be entertaining being like a shareholder in 2020. And our hope is that we could maybe have this up and running sometime in the first quarter of 2020. So a lot of what we put together here, I mean, we had, and Josh Corral here, the chief of Merton, extremely smart guy with spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets and money, very detailed person, had put together an awful lot of different budget formulas with the town of Merton, the village of Merton, Heartland, Lisbon, and we had, I don't know how many sheets you have, but we were able to create just the ones that would pertain to the village of Merton and Lisbon. Probably about 2 months ago, the town chairman and the village president of Merton met with us, kind of got a little lay of the land, and kind of gave the blessing to keep going forward. Maybe 5 weeks ago, we had this same meeting with the village of Merton board, their trustees, of which we presented a lot of the same, or you're going to get the same thing they got. And then at the end of that meeting, I can tell you it was extremely positive of all of the members and the trustees, and they were actually, I think, fairly excited when you agree about the positives. And there's going to be some bumps in the road because you're going to all find things that you might want to change. So the one thing about us getting together, and everybody asked, Linda, you asked this last week, what's the benefit of us doing this? And the truth is when we have the major problem of staffing and keeping paid either part-time or full-time people on staff to have the required amount of crews ready to respond. And the paid on call, the free kind of labor, volunteers things, that scheme is disappearing, especially in developed areas like ours. It's hard to maintain. So we have found that even just the Merton Lisbon looking together and taking our existing budgets and putting them together, the fact is there's many possibilities of reallocating some of that money that's duplicated right now and being able to afford that into more staffing formulas. Whether that be more full-time people, or more paid on-premise people, or more money towards paid on-call that make it so that they would stay. I mean, there's many different things that would have to come about after a district was formed, and how that money would actually be allocated. But there is, in some of the math that we've been doing, I mean, some of the duplication that like has already been established, we could probably save right off the bat about $123,000 a year. That could be reallocated directly to more people being paid on staff, without raising the budgets at all, right, as they are right now, and as they are proposed for 2020. Although we are also proposing to hire more people too, but the problem isn't gonna go away with just one or two actions. It's gonna take years of planning to really get the fire departments and the EMS systems where I think they'd be substantially set. Okay. So the other thing is capital. We're able to probably eliminate 2 fire engines. There's $700,000 over 20-25 years of a life of an engine. I think we will be able to eliminate one of them. We will be able to eliminate 1 grass truck, although there's 3 right now in this mix, but 2 of them wouldn't even make one right now. They're not that good. So the proposal to buy a grass truck in the Lisbon 2020 thing is still there, but then we'd only be replacing from that time on just 1 or 2, not 3. So eliminating capital and vehicles is an important part of this, and being able to absorb a lot of the call volume, because the village of Merton itself has about 100 calls a year. So Lisbon's answering 1,200. The village of Merton's 100. So really, at this point in time, the way things are, you can absorb that call volume and that workload fairly easy into the budget. Okay, so that's kind of how that is, and what the benefits would be for us to put together the Park River, and I'm sure you could read my and Josh's bullet points that we have there. We do have on another page the funding formula. It's kind of a draft that was created, and we used, and this is more, maybe Josh should talk more to this, because he's actually the guy that created a lot of this and took it from the other departments that we got information from, so I'm gonna let you do that.
Okay, so we initially used the Western Lakes funding that they had set up, because they just recently went through this whole thing. So we used that as a point to start from. We put our numbers in, we changed them to try and get it as much the same as what we're doing right now, so no one community would be seeing a large increase or decrease. So we worked those numbers in, we ended up taking a few different options out and just leaving it based on how many calls we run and how many people live there. So with that split there, as you can see there at the 8812, that pretty much puts us just about even with what we have now. So it's a good place to start where we are now, and then take a few years to add on more and try and get more paid, either full-time or part-time people.
So basically, he worked the formulas backwards so that you wouldn't have any increases initially. And there was, in the Western Lakes one, there was land evaluations that were in there equal, and kind of formulas are used by many different fire districts, but in ours, it kind of seemed to slant inappropriate funding towards certain different communities that didn't seem fair. And I think it's because a lot of the communities west of us have a lot of land evaluation based on large homes on lake property with high tax evaluations, but there's no service levels. I mean, you're not running an ambulance or a fire engine to any of those places free. It's not like a quad graphics or a elderly home or some heavy service thing. So we took those out. which brings us to the intermunicipal agreement, which, so, this is what Western Lakes and which they kind of modified from Lake Country, who I think took theirs from North Shore. And through the years, it's changed quite a bit. Believe it or not, we eliminated probably 8, 9 pages out of here. And I'm not an attorney. But we did change the language. That was easy to kind of, put in the proper names and start off with at least getting some kind of a draft with a creation of this fire district for how the state would set it up. And we covered most of all the things that we could. The things that we changed are in red. There's things in yellow that are still questioning, that I'm not sure what the answers are. What we did with the Village of Merton is we gave them this exact document, asked them to read it, and start giving feedback to us what they want, and then we'll have the committee meeting start again, but the committee will only be Lisbon and Village to establish maybe more of what their concerns are and get it into this document, and then we're asking obviously for permission to go ahead and get some legal start looking at that. This would create a whole new fire commission. So right now, the town of Lisbon has a fire police commission. This would call for a new commission with 2 members from Merton, 2 members from Lisbon, and 1 picked from an overall community. It also requires a fire board. So the fire board would be the operations and budgeting group that the chief would go to and get and establish a budget, and then that board would come to this town board for this share of the money, and that same governing board of the fire district would go to the Village of Merton and show that budget, and then they would have to work it all out in order to get it to come at the end of the day. So, and that's that way because as more and more communities maybe join and become shareholders of this, obviously it grows and grows, and there's where a fire board can handle all of the representation from every one of the governing boards that have the purse strings, to give it that funding. And it's all laid out here, and if you guys don't agree, then it goes back to some 1 or 2% from the year before, and there's all different ways of calculating how the votes would be taken and how to, if there's major disagreements, these things in here. So, all of that is in this. We kind of like for everybody to read it and give us back the feedback so that we can create a good document that's for us, something that works for our communities. Then the other part of this is Heartland was initially in it. They're bowing out for now. They are maybe 4 or 5 years down the road. The town of Merton right now, they have a portion of their town, somewhat like east of Highway 83, is contracted to the Merton Community Fire Department. West of 83 is contracted to the Stone Bank Private Fire Company. Arrowhead School District down on the south end there, that's actually contracted to the Heartland Fire Department. So they're all split up with their township, goes all different ways. And I know that they, at the end of the day, kind of want to stop that. They'd like to have one fire department, and I think they eventually want to be shareholders in this district too. But as of right now, I don't think that's going to be possible because there's so many different identities right now that are posturing for all this coverage, and it's not easy to change things that are 100 years old. So they will initially in 2020, the way it looks, will still probably be contracting with us. So we're going to form a Park River Fire District, and the town of Merton to contract to that end. Questions?
Questions from anyone on the board?
I do. Okay. I'm just curious, because at the September 9th meeting, We discussed it. I don't think we agreed to consolidate. We discussed it. I
Right.
just want verification, because this says that we agreed to consolidate.
Well, this is when when this would be approved, we would be.
Okay.
The dates are just when.
Yeah, this
They
is
would
not
change
approved,
if
this
you-
is just if we approve it, this is what the language would be.
Right,
A different date, though.
the date that you approve it
Right.
would be up there. Yeah.
Right, not the ninth, okay. And I understand that you've always been concerned about getting good qualified people in, and I understand that. You talk about the labor and the volunteering and so forth. Our district obviously is a lot bigger than, may I call you Josh? Okay, Josh, our district is a lot bigger than yours. We have a bigger budget. So is our budget going to be used to maintain yours, or how is that going to work with equipment? I understand last month you talked about we still buy our own equipment. So I'm
Let me
confused.
just clarify that. You're gonna, in this agreement, the way it's written now, and remember, these are all drafts. These are good questions and good for discussion. The fire stations are gonna stay with the communities.
Correct.
The apparatus and trucks will end up being owned by the fire district. Because the fire chief, and however we decide to, I don't mean to take away your answer, however the best way to serve all of the community and respond to everything is how it's going to have to play out. Right?
Are we disproportionately responsible financially, though? More than Merton is? Not that I don't want to see this, but that's a
Are you
question.
asking, like, are we paying more than they are? Or are you
Yes.
asking- Well, overall, we have 1,200 calls per year, so
Exactly. So, to me.
we would be paying more, but disproportionately is a wide term. Are we paying more per call? Are we paying more per person? Are we paying more per equalized value? Or, in what way do you mean are we paying more?
Well, I guess, I don't know how to explain this, and I guess we'll find out as we go along when we see more precise figures. I just worry that we're carrying Merton, and no offense, please, but just because we pay so much more on ours, we have a bigger department, we have more equipment. And now here we're gonna, you want us to agree to, or we talked about a new grass, machine. So we have the equipment. So is Merton gonna come to the table with more equipment, newer equipment and stuff to help out with the load? Or are you gonna contribute to that? I don't think so, because you said we're responsible for our own machines.
No. We're responsible for our own stations, fire
Correct,
stations. The
correct.
buildings are gonna stay with the communities.
Right.
The apparatus, the machines, the trucks, the engines are gonna be shared. So the same formula that we use for the operational funding will also be used for capital replacement of vehicles.
No, like this grass one that we talked about buying.
Yep,
Okay, so that goes into the Bark River, group.
yep.
Do they help pay for this? Does
Yes.
Merton help pay for it?
Yes.
Well, hold on. The one we would purchase this year, we've not formed a department yet.
Right.
If we purchase that this year and we use our sinking fund to pay for that, or however we do it, that is different than when the district is formed.
Correct.
Once the district is formed,
Correct.
if we buy an ambulance that's in Good Hope, 80% of that, assuming it's 80-20, whatever, 80% of that's Lisbon, 20% of that's Merton. If we buy a fire engine in Merton, 80-20 there also.
Uh-huh,
It's a consistent funding formula in each, wherever the apparatus is purchased.
okay. So do we donate this equipment to the consortium, donate to that? The old equipment that we have?
Would
We just-
become part of the Bark River.
And so whatever we have into dollars, that's what it is. Is that correct?
And them also, yes.
And them also. So we have the majority of the equipment.
Well,
See,
you
that's
may
what I'm
want,
getting confused.
they have
with.
quite a bit of equipment,
Yeah, they
Linda.
do.
Okay.
We're not jumping into this where they have one ambulance and one engine.
Right, so we'd like to, maybe I, as a board member, would like to see what your equipment is and what your equipment is.
Sure.
That's all. And I'm just trying to find the answer so I personally feel more comfortable in what we vote on, that's all. And that's why I've got the questions.
Yeah, they're good questions, and they should come up so that there is no issues later.
Right, I don't want issues.
Our apparatus and we have all of that. They have 3 fire engines, we have 3 fire engines. They have 2 tenders, we have 3. Ours are older, theirs are newer. They have 2 ambulances, we have 3. But overall, you know, when you think about, it's not like it's super lopsided. It's not like, you know, they've got 1 truck and we got 10.
Right,
It's
right.
not like that at all.
Okay.
And the actual age of the vehicles and the replacement schedule of them, there's, on both sides, vehicles that are close to being replaced and need to be replaced. And there's, in this agreement, there's so much money that you would just pay every year to a capital fund. If you, and I know like your board likes to pay as you go,
Right.
You put it in the budget, so you can still do that.
Right.
Maybe the Village of Merton likes to borrow money. So what, like, this is how much money Lisbon would owe every year for capital. This is how much money the village would. Now, the village can borrow and put it in there, or not, or however each community decides to come up with the capital money is still up to you. But there'll be a fund that'll be given to that fire board that would keep replacing the equipment. And they gotta come and report to you and get things approved. It's not like, it's not, I know you're sharing something, so you have to kinda, you're not gonna have 100% total control, but you're gonna be working with another board that's also has the same goals and end game in mind, right? You wanna see things be successful.
Oh, absolutely, but that's why, I just think we just need everything, all the questions answered, so we're all comfortable, on your side as well. I'm sure there's other people in Merton that have the same questions, so we all kind of in the same boat here, so it's new.
You are exactly right, because I've heard that from their side, like, oh, so Lisbon's this big thing that's gonna take us over, and we're never gonna have a say in nothing anymore? And that's their
Exactly.
concern. They don't wanna get stepped over,
Right.
and you don't want to carry them. So, very understandable from both sides, right? I mean, they very much are very proud of their fire department and the things they have.
And they should be.
And they are, and you're right. So, those would be natural, I think.
Okay.
And I think they can be worked out with agreements and with common sense, I think, as we approach and go forward.
Okay,
I think so.
okay.
Well, I just wanted to say, I think that the shared services with this new district would be a fantastic idea. I liked it when you came to us to start the discussions as it's been going on. I think it's great. My question has to do with the fire stations themselves. I understand they remain with the community, but when you look at the geographical kind of area of this new department, are the fire stations located? Okay.
You can finish the question.
No, I don't need to. What's the impact of that?
If we're looking just at the Village of Merton, their station is fine. Richmond obviously was built with the long-term plan of not having one central station, but moving one to the southwest and one to the northeast, and then respond corner to corner. It's a technique that's been proven over other fire districts and through all kinds of studies in the past, and that was something that we started and never finished. It's a Lisbon plan that was started and not finished. I know that at some point in time, there will have to be another station located to the northeast of Good Hope Firehouse. The good news there is the DPW can't wait to get that thing because they're running out of room. So I know that that's a big expense, and at some point, it's a capital expense that'll have to be looked at.
So if you're building a new fire station in this joint district, how would that happen? Since the buildings stay with the municipality, would that be solely Lisbon's responsibility to cover that as it expands the geographical area, or would that be part of the joint agreement?
The Lisbon's. And you would retain ownership. I mean, you have the asset, you would never use that. Which is kind of good too, if you ever want to pull out of a fire district, you still got your stations. The trucks all turn to dust anyway, eventually.
Especially the new Pierces.
Huh?
Especially the new Pierces, apparently.
Whoa! Yeah, no, the stations, and that's only like, that's what we thought would be good. Western Lakes actually took ownership of all the stations. The district owns those. Now, we have in our operating budget, maintenance on them, but routine maintenance, not major. Like major rooftop replacements or major structural fixes, and those things are still gonna be on the community. But with like regular, painting the garage door and making sure the toilet flushes, that's in the operating budget of the district, who's manning the stations.
What's
Like a
the,
lease without a lease.
It's a lease with a lease.
what's the difference in the thought process why you would have one stay with the municipality or contribute it to the district?
Early in our committee meetings, there was a lot of heartburn about communities losing their stations, their assets.
Yeah. Our station, and our Richmond station, we use that community room quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to ask permission from someone to do that.
And the Village of Merton's building is their fire station, it's their police substation, and it's their village hall, or village offices, right? The village meetings are actually in down the road. So, I mean, they have multiple, and then our Good Hope station is half DPW, half fire, so it was
Yeah.
hard to give up a building that's shared with another department.
And we analyze like the computer system between the fire station and the town hall is actually,
Another thing.
that's something we'd have to address for certain, because we use the same servers, and
Phones.
phones too.
I would think that the fire district at that point, and they'll probably end up buying their own IT, they'll probably end up buying their own health insurance for those employees. They'll probably go to different programs. Or stay with whatever's established here if it's what they want. But it'll be a fire board of 5 people that are probably gonna make a lot of those decisions.
Would the fact that where the stations are located doesn't meet the current standard, if it's a district that's this joint district, would that have expedited all the need to create a new building that meets those requirements? Would it affect our rating? Or would it basically be the status quo kind of continue?
I think the need for that station is pretty real right now, and I know it's a financial thing. I think as more and more development comes into the town, it's gonna be more realistic to get that station built. And remember, this newer station does not have to be as big as the one that we already have. It's gonna be small. But this agreement, I believe, because Josh and I and Michelle have been talking a lot, I think we're gonna be able to staff it better. I think we'll be able to keep people at it more routinely, because, he has a dream of 2, 3, and 2 all the time around the clock at the stations, which is 7 people that are right there all the time that are gonna be responding back and forth and going home. So, and there's probably gonna be more available the way this is looking. It's really an opportunity to take funded money that's already out there and reallocate it and make it so that it actually works out better towards staff.
Anything else? Becky, anything?
Not until I read over this. I just have one question. Is the premise to, that the board, the fire board, will get money from each municipality and they will do their own payroll, pay their own bills? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's the only question I have right now until I look at
That would
this.
be how we're anticipating it going, but I think it's gonna take time to set that up. That's why I don't know how, I don't believe this could ever happen by the first of the year, not the way, not as much needs to be done in that document yet, and then to actually set up a fire commission and fire board, and they have all of this ratified by, there's a lot on the table here.
Can you explain the differences between like a company and a district?
Well, a fire district, by the true sense of the word, is like down in Illinois where their state statutes allow them to have a fire district, which means they have taxing authority. Like, you have taxing authority, a school district can tax separately from the town on their own. Sanitary district taxes on their own. It's a district can tax on their own. In the state of Wisconsin, there is no actual fire districts. I mean, we're calling it a district, but there isn't by definition of a district that could have taxing authority. That's not available in the state of Wisconsin. So what we're talking about here is a private fire company, which is, they're contracted to the municipality, and they are a private identity. Lisbon is a municipal department that is owned by the town, Commonwealth of the town. And then the fire district is a municipal department that's shared through several different municipalities. So we're making some significant changes here.
Okay.
I have another question. Doug, you had put in our budget, your budget, that you wanted to, a new equipment. Josh, is there anything in your budget as far as big equipment for this coming year?
Yeah, so, with all of these changes coming up here, we, one of the things that I had put in for in the last 6 months here was a new ambulance, and that's been kind of put on hold with the town of Merton now, and the things that they have to figure out there. So they're getting to a point now where they are ready to fund that. So that's something that the village of Merton and the town of Merton would then fund prior to this. So that is one large piece of capital that we are looking at around the $250,000 mark.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments or anything?
When you mentioned, you said SOGs. Before, in your conversation, you had said SOGs, and I'm so sorry. What does that mean? SOGS, what is that?
Oh, the SOGs?
SOGs.
It's the standard operating procedures. It's a whole document of how a fire department operates. It's
Okay.
our SOGs.
When you said that, I'm going, what is that?
I didn't even know I said SOGs.
Yeah, you did.
Did it?
Yeah.
I have it in the minutes. I knew what you meant.
I'm sorry. Our SOGs.
SOGs, okay. All right, that's it, thank
What
you.
else did I mess up?
You didn't mess up.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions?
So then, I mean, I don't know if this is out of line or not, Sherman, but could we just get a polling of what people think, if it's positive, negative, or, I don't know, I'm just saying, the village board unanimously went around and spoke very highly of it and recommended us going forward. I don't know if you wanna do that,
I think you gotta give them some time with
or to read it.
to read through this agreement and such, and let some of it sink in a little bit more. I've had a lot more discussions on
Yeah,
this
you've been
with you
right in
guys.
there with us the whole time.
So, I mean, it's up to you if you wanna.
No,
anybody
like
wants to-
Becky said, she wants to read this, I would too.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a good possibility. You know, I just, would like some facts.
Yeah. I mean, as far as communities to do this with, I mean, Merton is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we get along so well. I mean, I don't know if there's any, I mean, this is not to take a cut on any other community, but I trust them more than I trust anybody. I mean, they're just, everything we've done together has just been gold.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're obviously working on developing a relationship with Landon here, which I hope reaches that level, and the Pewaukee, city of Pewaukee, we do real well with, Heartland we do well with, but Merton has just been a shining star, and we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so we did skip over item 3, which was comments from citizens present. We have no, Kelly, you got any comments? Item 5, approval bills.
All
right, tonight's accounts payable, we have a total of $229,840.70. The top 5 expenditures, we have one correction. For the River Glen surety bond reduction, it does not go back to Kunkel, it actually goes to Jack Lightsouts for River Glen. Instead of posting a regular letter of credit like other developments do, he actually submitted a cash bond, so we're actually giving him his own money back. So that's for $73,542.37. And in the consent agenda, we did approve Resolution 1519, accepting the public improvements and reducing that reduction, and this is the approval of the check. The next expenditure is advanced disposal for our August garbage and recycling collection, $67,795.88. Waukesha County Treasurer, multiple items, Q3 tax parcel billing, October police services, August prisoner housing for $61,028.87. Hamilton School District for August mobile home parking fees, $4,341.62. And Bulow Vetter, I can never say that. Bikma? I never know how to say it.
Attorney.
Dan Vliet. Labor attorney work on the handbook and FMLA laws regarding that for $3,767 even. Any questions on the bills?
Anyone wish to make a motion on the bills?
I make a motion on the bills.
Moved by Linda
To approve as presented.
to approve.
I'll second it.
Second by Becky. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Tadia is out of the room at the moment. Item 6, announcements, correspondence. Meeting schedule, which I have here somewhere. Get yours up.
Yeah.
Mine's buried. So tonight we got that's the town hall. We have a budget workshop. Then on September 30th, we'll have a budget workshop here at the town hall. Actually, tomorrow night we also have a budget workshop, correct?
Nope.
No, none tomorrow?
Nope, off this week.
Off this week. All right, good. Next week, Tuesday, October 1st, we'll have a budget workshop meeting at 6:30 at the town hall. October 10th will be a plan commission meeting at 6:30 at the town hall. October 14th will be the next town board meeting at 6:30. October 16th will be a sanitary district committee meeting at 7:30. And then October 21st will be a park committee meeting at the Richard Young Fire Station. And on the 28th will be our second town board meeting of the month. Does anyone else have any other announcements or correspondence to note?
No.
All right.
I probably won't be at the October 14th meeting.
Okay.
Gina knows that. Thank you.
And we have an IIMC announcement. Clerk Dan Green received the Certified Municipal Clerk certification from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. Congratulations.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
for doing that, Dan.
a lot of time put in to get those points.
Excellent.
Does that mean you get to go to Europe or something?
Yeah. I get to go to Disneyland.
Oh, there you go.
Where's the next conference? Alabama? Something like that.
It's like Michigan
Arkansas.
or something.
Item 7 is department reports. We have the administrator report.
Well, if my computer would go to it, I could read it, so now I need your paper copy. Did yours go down?
No, not yet.
We've been having server problems.
Oh, where did I put my paper copy of it here?
Oh, wait, there it goes. I got it. We've been having connection issues.
It's in here somewhere.
It's page 31. I got it. Okay, a few things to update you on. Border agreements, I dropped off the Lisbon-Merton border agreement to the Department of Administration on September 11th. The Landon agreement should be delivered mid-October after the action at Landon's next meeting and our next meeting on October 14th. Budget workshops, I'll have updated budget documents to you guys by the end of Wednesday. The town's auditor, Wendy Unger, and our financial consultant, John Cameron from Ellers, will be at the meeting on September 30th for a workshop. They're going to help us out with some of our larger budgetary items we have to work with, like the Pauline Haas money, what to do with that, how that affects our debt, our levy limits. We have a lot of big things to talk about this time, especially with all the other efforts we have going on. Department heads will also be in attendance at that meeting as well. Employee handbook, I received the labor attorney's review of the draft handbook. There's many items I have to review with him regarding labor laws, which is pretty much all of their comments of things that have changed over the last 10 years from our old our old handbook to this one. Everything else as far as our benefits and our regular procedures, they have no problems with. And then I found out today that Missy from Horton is back, so as soon as she gets back to me, we're going to work on that benefits guide, pull the benefits out of the handbook, and just keep the handbook as far as operating procedures and laws. And then I'll bring those back, and that's my goal for the end of the year. So I'm 80% done. Engineering files, as you can see, the pile of boxes is gone from over there. We've been slowly getting through the prior engineers files. We located subdivision files, re-alphabetized, reboxed, labeled them. We know what went over to the fire station today. You know, we still have a lot to go through over there, and when we can get to scanning stuff, we do. A lot of things have been taken by Planner Dan and Engineer Mitch Lasis, and as they go through files that they need to research, they've been scanning things for us.
Is that the Young Fire Department or the one on Good Hope?
The Richard Young one. They have space upstairs for us.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yep. And planner projects. Planner Dan has been working on updating the town sign code for presentation to the Plan Commission, and then it'll come to the town board for approval as well. It's just a regular ordinance update, no public hearing needed for that. My memo does say the updated sign code will be incorporated into the town zoning code, but that'll be done after, hopefully, June 30th, when everything else is done, because we'll have to recodify everything, and then I'll just get put in with that. He's also working on a new impact fee study. With all of the new housing developments, the town has our needs have changed for buildings and park, and now, like we heard, for fire, you know, another station, another part of town. So our study hasn't been updated since 2005. So Dan's been working on that, putting numbers together. We'll bring that back to the town board. You guys look at the numbers. If you like them, great. If not, you can adjust them. It's done by ordinance, and then you just have to decide when you want to put them in place. Now, January 1st, next year. So that we will come back to the board when he has that ready. And again, I just wanted to congratulate Clerk Dan Green on getting his certified municipal clerk. Congrats.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I got.
Any questions for Gina?
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
You're welcome.
Clerk report.
Sure. I just have a few updates. The newsletter was printed and distributed on Friday, so if you haven't gotten it, you should get it early this week. Just some highlighted articles in there. We have a full page and a half on incorporation that was written by Gina. We do have some flyers on Hamilton High School's polling location being moved to the Redeemer United Church. And, well, later on in my report, I guess I'll skip to it, election inspectors needed. So if you guys know of anybody, we have quite a few, but next year we're looking at a lot of potential elections, maybe up to 6. So if you know of anybody that, you know, wants to volunteer or just wants something to do for, you know, decent money, give them my email address, give them the town's phone number, and I'll be glad to talk to them. Candidacy paperwork, I'm working on the packets right now for Tadia and for Linda. There's still some documents that the state hasn't come out with yet, so once they get those, I'll send the compiled packets to you guys and print them off for you guys to fill out. So, and lastly, Laserfish update. I have a phone call tomorrow afternoon for another company to get another quote, and hopefully I'll have 2 quotes by next meeting, if not the meeting after. So watch out for that on the upcoming agenda. And that ends my report.
Thank you for putting together the packets, and also, since I missed you, congratulations. When I was over there, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for Dan? Thank you, Dan. Fire department report. We got the report, notes on special activities and events. August 7th was Lisbon Fire participated in the National Night Out in Sussex. On August 9th, the National Fallen Firefighters Golf Outing was held at Ironwood Golf Course. Meetings attended by the chief on the 5th, an officer meeting. On the 12th, a meeting with Merton Fire Chief. On the 15th, a town board meeting. And on the 26th, a meeting with the village Merton board. Statistics. We have 54 personnel, 110 calls, 16 inspections, 16 trainings, and we have 13 in education. Any questions on the fire department report?
No, but I have one last thing for my report. Kelly, don't leave yet. Saturday, we had our electronics and appliance and paper shredding recycling event, which Kelly showed up to. And we had $20 for every tube TV. We collected 25 TVs just for those. And after about 7 flat screen TVs, I lost count. There were that many. Every resident that came through there was very appreciative for having this. And I couldn't tell you how many times we heard, this TV has been sitting in my basement, garage, back bedroom for like 10 years.
My garden.
Thank you. Even Kelly was there.
And
Those-
how much did you charge again for the TVs?
$20, which we heard now that advanced disposal through the county events is charging $70.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 at your curb if you call, but people, they called. We said, hold on to it for a few weeks. We'll have another event. I'm already getting messages, people wanting to know when it's going to be next year because they missed it. So we're hoping to get 2 dates settled in the next couple of weeks, and we'll put it in the tax bills.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was a very good event.
Excellent.
Now
Thank
that's all I have.
All right, Parks Department.
John, as usual, has been really busy. He re-chipped the walking trails in Community Park. They've been cleaning the open air shelters before and after rentals. Last month there were 6 rentals. They installed a flagpole at Community Park by the Hilltop Shelter. They installed a memorial bench with brick paver pad, planted new nursery stock and 4 yards of wood chips for the Sussex Sled Bugs organization. They are watering the newly planted nursery stock at Community Park and here at Town Hall, continuing their mowing and equipment and fleet maintenance. They removed 2 trees that came down in the park from recent storms. Superintendent Brighton is working on his budget, attending budgeting workshops and park committee. And again, soccer and football is in full swing running through October.
All right,
Any questions?
Thank you, Tadia. Item 8, supervisor reports.
We had a rip-roaring meeting last Wednesday night. A lot of people here from the Wooded Hills area, and it was voted on at that time to continue our policy unless it's changed, and it's on the budget for next month again to be discussed.
For grinder pumps.
This is regarding grinder pumps, yes.
All right, thank you, Linda. Anybody else?
No.
Nope.
All right, item 9 is unfinished business. We have none. Item 10, new business. A, discussion, necessary action on the recommendation from Plan Commission on the request for Louis Finco for the properties located at North 50 West 25545 Lisbon Road, tax key LSBT 0275.997.003 and 0275.997.005 for a 2-lot combination certified survey map subject to the Lisbon Sussex JPC approval, which was tonight, and completion of the joint driveway easement agreement by all parties, private parties, and recorded at the Waukesha County Register of Deeds. All right.
Since you're here.
Oh, thanks. I could be here for questions. I'm primarily here for the item 3 here on the agenda. See if this is on still. Item B on the agenda, but in general, in front of you is a CSM that was a combination CSM that was prepared back in 2010 by the applicant that was never followed through with due to some issues. I don't want to say issues with property owners, but just never followed through on getting some of those signatures. Part of the big part of this process is because the parcel is located off of a roadway, due to the driveway easement, and that needed to be recorded. The village had to review the CSM, but the town also wanted to review that driveway maintenance agreement, so that we were making sure that that driveway would serve that property into the future. So as a result, we worked through that CSM through several revisions with the applicant and through several revisions of the maintenance agreement with the applicant. worked through those items so that they could meet the town standards. The plan commission recommended approval subject to several changes. Those changes were made. The applicant met just tonight with the JPC. The JPC approved that both unanimously. So with that last piece, it's here tonight for approval with one final small change to be changed. That's just more or less a typographical error on that one. So with that, we do recommend approval.
Questions or comments from the board? Nothing? Make a mo-
I have just a question. Did they complete the joint driveway easement agreement?
That's part of the signature process to be recorded.
Oh, okay,
as well.
okay.
So
Are we ahead of ourselves by approving this or talking about this until they get that?
well, they have to record it at the same time as the CSM,
Yeah.
so at that point, it all kind of goes together. So we do have the final version of it, so, and that's a private party agreement, it's not a town agreement. So.
Okay.
And the only typographical error was County Highway K.
K to H, yeah, or the H in county, K in county, yeah, and there should be eight, yeah.
CTK to CTH.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the one.
Any other questions? Make the motion that we approve the request for Louis Finco for the properties located at North 50 West 25545 Lisbon Road for a two-lot combination certified survey map. Is there a second? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item B, discussion and necessary action on the recommendation from Plan Commission for the following requests for Mark Lake on behalf of WP Property Acquisitions LLC, property owner Betty Brown, Slayton Living Trust for the property located at North 55 West 25299 Richmond Road, tax key LSBT 0273.998. We have the comprehensive plan amendment from low-density residential and other open lands to be preserved to industrial and low-density residential, subject to the amendment being approved by the Village of Sussex as this change modifies Exhibit H of the boundary stipulation, an intergovernmental cooperative agreement dated 1/22/2001, and subject to the approval of the Lisbon Sussex Joint Plan Commission and recommendation of Waukesha County and the Village of Sussex of the same. That's the first part. The second part will be the rezone from A10 Agricultural District to BP and C1, subject to the approval of the Lisbon Sussex Joint Plan Commission and recommendation to Waukesha County and the Village of Sussex of the same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, we're going to touch on two different items here, but there's a lot more hurdles and hoops in this process because of its location, because of its the other guiding documents that are in play here. Of the documents that you see in front of you are the maps they have prepared. Underneath that is the town's border stipulation agreement and the town comprehensive plan, but at the same time also the village comprehensive plan. In areas in which a village has a border agreement with the municipality, typically outside of these areas, the town would have jurisdiction as well as Waukesha County when it deems future land uses. But in the areas in which the village has a joint border agreement with the municipality, Waukesha County tends to take a step back in those areas and say it's up to those two municipalities to determine the future land uses. In this case of the Brown property, it was slated back in 2001 as single-family residential. At this time, the neighboring parcel, as you've driven down that road many times, probably seen that the Village of Sussex is developing that into a business park, light manufacturing. And so at this time, the applicant, same applicant across the road or across the border, is looking at doing the same thing here with the same design standards, same elements to that. But that does require a review on our side of many different items. Again, that would be our comprehensive plan, the border agreement, the zoning code, and any other documents that would come forward at that time of development. So on your agenda here you have two items, but I'm going to kind of steer us, I don't want to say steer us, but kind of just talk to a couple different items here because I want to make sure that we're preparing ourselves the best case scenario for this because of all the various different levels of jurisdiction. Overall, our comprehensive plan has an amendment process. The amendment process states that the Plan Commission must hear it through a public hearing and make a resolution. The Plan Commission did that. They recommended this to the Town Board. I want to make sure that the Town Board, if you elect to move forward with this one, move forward in the right direction. And what I mean by that is I want to make sure that Waukesha County has some direction from us when they do an overall review of making sure everything is updated because they do update our maps. sure that we've done everything correctly. So because of that border agreement, Exhibit H in that border agreement states that we have single-family residential, we need to make sure that that map also gets adjusted. We're not opening up the border agreement completely, we're opening up that Exhibit H, and part of our initial discussions with the applicant during a development review team meeting with Waukesha County as a facilitator said, let's look at Exhibit H and leave Exhibit H by itself. And so that's a little bit of a comfort level versus opening up that entire document. So I don't want to move us forward with the direction of approving a land use map change that is against that border agreement. We can discuss it and move it forward without having to get completely to that finish line. So my recommendation on this one would be to direct the town attorney, now that we have an application in front of us, if you elect to move forward with this request, and I can touch on the details of this, I'm just getting to the process here. If you'd like to move forward with that, to direct the town attorney to prepare a letter to the village to investigate amending maps H first. And then we can continue to move forward. I would say, I won't say table this item, but hold over the actual approval of this item until we have some resolution. If the village does not wish to move forward with amending Exhibit H, we are kind of left in that holding pattern at this point, because their guiding document does also ring true in the town here. So we don't want to continue to move down the path if there is going to be that resistance on the front end. And so we need to have the discussions, and that Exhibit H map discussion is going to lead to other things. It's going to lead to water, sewer, service, utility discussions about that, and that should come from that discussion. But want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up so we're creating kind of the proper track record. So in this case, if you were to move forward with a request, I'd recommend that the town attorney prepare a letter to officially amend map site or map H with them, with the follow-up behind would be that then we would come back and amend our map after that. And that can happen concurrently, but I want to make sure we're actually having a formal request out to the village. We're not doing something out of order so the village doesn't state that we're violating our border agreement. We're doing stuff in order and asking for that official request. So I can touch on the process and all the details, but any questions on the comp plan process?
Are there any tax consequences going from one to the other, from agricultural to residential or whatever it might be?
So the low density designation right now would be, now we haven't done a full analysis of what it would be under a residential category. We've done, Ellers has prepared kind of a draft scenario of what it would be for the business and manufacturing. Overall standpoint, looking at the 1 acre lot subdivision minus out what lands wouldn't be developed, you're looking at, it's kind of hard to do that comparative analysis. But overall, from a standpoint of the homes haven't been built there, now we're looking at, I'd say it's more of your cost benefit analysis of now versus 20 years from now or 10 years from now of single family. So I can't answer the cost comparison. I believe we can touch on maybe some of the tax impacts of what the potential development could be. The applicant did provide that information.
But it's been discussed, so that all parties are aware of, there is, when you change zoning, there is a consequence.
Well, when the land use changes is when the consequence happens. But yes, if you're providing the land use change, then you're potentially going to see a future change in tax value, whether not positive or negative conversation.
Or back taxes, they might get you with. Okay, thank you.
And were you looking at this from a development point of view
No,
of what
from
it could
real
be?
estate.
But I mean, like total equalized value, you mean, or just?
Well, sometimes when you go, when agricultural,
The ag use conversion penalty?
yeah, mm-hmm,
There could be that,
yes,
but that's all determined by the state.
right, I know, I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
everybody was aware of
It
that.
wasn't in the preservation zone,
I don't think it was either.
Okay,
No.
just want to bring it up, thank you.
The town plan commission did hear from several residents,
Right.
several against the development, several for the development in terms of it. The plan commission did weigh this one pretty heavily and did recommend moving forward with the amendment. Any questions on the specific development? I also then would be reaching out to the applicant to actually prepare formal boundary maps of those. Right now you see conceptual maps in there. So before we get to the final approval, we need some of those formal boundary maps so we can make sure that those are mapped appropriately.
Any questions?
I
So
can touch on two here while we're having the thought process if you'd like me to, otherwise I can go on.
let me just make a couple comments on one real quick. So some of the comments that were made that night, I guess the one that I was looking at is our long-range map does state that this is residential,
This is what?
that it was to be residential per the board agreement, okay?
Okay,
So maps get amended over time. Well, border agreement maps, ours did not, because it's a hard document. So other parts, like Sussex has amended theirs, I don't know how many times. I mean, they do it all the time. So, but ours was not, because it was in the area of the border agreement. So, but where I'm going with this is somebody that moved in that area, even recently, could have, if they, and not a lot of them do, but if they would have looked at our long-range map, they would have a complaint. They would absolutely have a complaint going, you said this is gonna be residential and now you're gonna put industrial here. That being said, the applicant is showing where there's going to be areas of buffering, and there is quite a difference in topographical altitude there, so they still have a complaint, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dampen that in any way, shape, or form, because I would be upset too at that point, but there is some special circumstances to why that was never changed. Waukesha County has identified that area as one of their top areas to be developed in industrial. I don't know if you've seen that document in there, but it has been identified as that. The county is definitely in support of this. Now, they don't want to get in between Sussex and us by any means, but hopefully the right thing will happen here, so. But, go ahead with 2 then, Dan.
So on 2, this one was, the reason why it was brought up to the planning commission is so we can have an actual discussion at the same time, and we're not bringing residents in at 2 separate times and cause that confusion. The planning commission did hear from that as well, and part of that designation of the proposed zoning changes to the business park, or to the BP district, that is what we would consider one of our more higher end design requirement districts. So we have a lot more stringent design requirements, and that was the result of working with the village to kind of craft those standards that kind of mirror the village standards. So from a standpoint of buffering requirements, the landscaping, the screening, this district along with the B4 district, those are our 2 districts in which these design standards will apply. There's a lot more that would become involved when development comes in. So I think the planning commission is a little bit more comfortable in the fact that yes, you are adjacent to some of these subdivisions to the south and to the north, but with the potential of additional screening, additional stormwater requirements, there was a little bit more of a buffering piece. The applicant stated that there could probably be 8 to 10 lots of uses on this one, because it's not a large area when it comes to a business and industrial center. It's not 200, 400, 500 acres. We're a much smaller piece of it in relation to their combined efforts between 2 municipalities. And so, from an overall standpoint, the plan commission was a little less, I don't want to say a little less concerned, but more relieved the fact that there was additional design standards in play than if it would have just been in the manufacturing district. So, this one here would also come back at a later date, because I would not recommend this board move forward with a rezoning that was against the border agreement, and was against the comprehensive plan that you currently have until that is amended. And that is strictly just because I want to make sure that as you guys have other efforts going on in the town, that you guys are setting yourself up for the best case scenario.
Any questions?
So I would recommend that one be held over, and the other one be deferred, I guess you'd say, for one meeting until that letter gets sent over to the village.
Any discussion or anything?
Do we have to authorize a board to have Jim? Or
I'll make a motion to direct the town attorney to prepare a letter to discuss amending map H in the border agreement with the village of Sussex. Pretty sure I just made that motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Linda.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And item 2, we're all in agreement, we're going to defer that one off. Do you want to motion to postpone that, or just let it be?
Postpone.
Move a motion to postpone the rezone from A10 Agricultural District to BP and C1, subject to the approval of the Lisbon Sussex Joint Plan Commission. Recommendation, Waukesha County the same. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Becky. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right. I think that's it on 10 then. Item 11, discussion necessary action to convene in the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 parent 1 parent G when conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral and written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body which respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved with respect to the existing boundary stipulation and Wisconsin statute 66.02162 and cooperative boundary agreements under Wisconsin statute 66.0307. Do we have legal counsel?
He said he didn't need to be here tonight. Oh, yeah. He approved it.
Can we get Kathy on the line or something? I mean, it legitimately says conferring with legal counsel.
Yeah, let me text him. I will text both.
Goodbye, thank you.
Bye.
See you, Dan.
That turns off automatically.
Take it easy, Dan. Thank you. That's fine.
I suppose you said you get something on the phone.
I'm gonna text them both.
Can we go ahead and stop this since we're gonna just make a motion to go into closed session, or you want it on?
Leave it on.
Okay.
We'll make sure people see we're not going into closed session if we're not supposed to.
Mhm.
Or we have part of the discussion in open session, which I don't really have an issue with either. Do you have a copy of the, do we have copies of the map or do we have?
I have it. I don't want to print anything out yet.
What you make? No, make some copies of it.
I will be right back.
I'm gonna follow that. I think we're going.
Dan said my typing was picking up too much, but I can't turn it off. I have to hold it down. I guess I can just do it.
Yeah, only a couple of them. Like Linda's is, one of them by Linda's off right now.
This is on,
Yeah.
this is on.
I wish they had just a tablet. Oh, well.
Hmm?
Still hurts.
Mm-hmm. Nothing?
Nothing yet. I could just call.
Call.
Oh, boy. Didn't I do that?
Just barely.
Merci.
Hey, Jim, it's Gina. Can we put you on speakerphone for closed session? Okay, hold on a second. Wanna make the motion to go into,
Is there a motion to go in closed session?
I second.
I made a motion, and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Roll call.
Chairman
Yes.
Osterman,
Aye.
Supervisor Gamino,
Yes, again.
Lotecker,
Aye.
Beal.
Aye.
All right, so we'll vote to go into closed session at 7:47.